Hi, Teacher Abby here. Today I want to talk to you about how the credit score at Gogokid works. Now, I know a lot of you have already heard about Gogokid, especially if you work for VIP Kid or Magic Years or one of the other major ESL companies out there. So it can also be really confusing because their system for payment and bonuses is just a little bit different than what you're probably used to. So let me just kind of give you a bit of a rundown. So first of all, what is a credit score? Well, it can earn you bonuses, so that's a good thing. And if you get at least 101 points, they're even going to subsidize any peak time classes that aren't booked. And I'll talk to you more about that in a minute. If you get at least 110 points, then they're going to give you 110% of your base pay. So that's a 10% bonus. If you reach that max score of 120 points, then you'll end up getting 125% of your base pay. Now, it's also used for quality control. It helps them make sure that they are getting quality classes from their teachers. So if you drop below 100 points, you're not going to be eligible for any reward or incentive at all. If you drop below 80, they're going to really take a look at your classes, do an internal review. And if you drop below 70, they are going to terminate your contract. So make sure you keep that credit score up. So reminder, you're going to start with 100 and you're going to max out at 120. Now, that peak time subsidy that I was talking about a minute ago, as long as you have at least 101 as your credit score. So that means this doesn't count the first moment you're hired because you have to get from that 100 you start with to at least 101, okay? Then you can get this peak time subsidy. The way you do it, you open the slots at least 48 hours in advance. And they have to be in the 7 to 9 p.m. Beijing time. So that's, 4 classes a day that's open. Anything that doesn't book, they will still pay you 60% of your base pay. Now, this can be very good for you, especially if you're struggling with bookings, because you can get paid for this even if it doesn't book. And because Gogokid does not allow parents to book classes within 24 hours of the class, that means if it doesn't book, you can go then do short notice for something else. So you could get more sleep. That's always a choice too. So it's a really great little system. So what affects your credit score? First of all, the good stuff. If you teach 3 classes, you'll get a point. You teach another 3 classes, you'll get another point, so on and so forth. This counts even if the student doesn't show up or the student has an IT issue, so don't worry about that, but it has to be finished as far as your side's concerned. Also, every 5-star review you get, you're going to get another point, so that's really great. Do a great job, they reward you immediately. On the other hand, there are some bad things that can affect your score. For example, if you cancel a class with at least 24 hours notice, then that's going to deduct 1 point. If it's within 24 hours, it's going to be 2. If it's within 2 hours or you have an IT issue in the middle of class, they're going to deduct 3 points. If you don't show up at all, they'll deduct 5. And if you skip a week of teaching just entirely, you don't open any slots, they'll deduct 5 for that as well. Now, that last one sort of confuses people and concerns people a little bit, but according to the company, while they're still young and they're getting a student base, they're not going to penalize you for not being booked. So don't worry about that. They'll let us know when that one kicks in. So what's the takeaway? Well, I'll talk more about pay in a future video, but for me, I really think this is an interesting company. I'm going to give it a try for a couple of weeks at least and see how it goes. I like the idea that you're pretty much immediately rewarded for doing a great job. And you don't have to have a certain number of classes in a month to get bonuses. On the other hand, it's one of those things where I kind of like my short notice bonuses at VIP Kid. So what do? Probably, at least to start off with, I'm going to get my credit score up above those first little numbers, and then I'm going to open up my peak times. Then if they don't book, then I still have time to do a short notice at VIP Kid in that slot, because I'll know 24 hours in advance if I need to try and fill that slot another way. So I'll get paid for it here, and then I'll get short notice over at VIP Kid. And if that doesn't work out, then we'll see, and I'll let you know. But I think it's a really great way to basically guarantee bookings, or at least guarantee getting paid. Now, if you're ready to apply with Gogokid, the instructions for how to do that are below in the description. And I would appreciate your referral if that's something that you're willing to do. Otherwise, happy teaching.